But, I think some of us that have been on the spiritual path for a long time, especially at this time, this last Pisces lunar eclipse, it was such a closeout and such a like closing out old harmonics and old densities and old timelines and just this real just purge of stuff. And so, you may have been going through your journey for, like me, your spiritual journey for quite some time and worked through stuff. And then all of a sudden, these things are rising back and you end up in your face. And you're like, hey, I thought I worked through this. Am I regressing? Am I failing? Am I, the chatter, blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing it right, blah, 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 blah. That's the other thing to remember, that yes, in your own personal timing and the larger timing of the planet in the past, you worked through those issues, around that. But, you have to remember that everything is a spiral, and so you're spiraling up through your frequencies and energies, and you're gonna meet that from another place. As you keep spiraling up, you keep meeting that issue at another point of view, another more refined place, and then address it. And so it's ever refining and cleansing of that. And so, now we're at the point, now and, these next years that are coming up, where it's really like the closeout. It's the closeout sale. Everything must go, all the density must go. So even though you've worked through some of these things, maybe in several versions over the years, now it's like the closeout time. So regardless of how much you've processed, regardless of how much you've worked through that issue, it was still on the planet, and you still were tied into that harmonic because that energy was still on the planet. And so a lot of those things now, that's where you hit the individual versus collective timing. You can be all on your game and, caught up with yourself and your shifts and your changes, but you're still in that larger collective timing, and some things, they leave when they're ready to leave in that perfect timing. And that's where we're at right now, is where things are really starting to leave really core, old, dense human bullshit. and, and so as these are getting cleared out, even though you've worked through a lot of levels of it, there's still an attachment to it that you need to release in this final time. So it's not, when you're revisiting some of these things that you've thought you've worked through over the years, it's not a failing, it's not regressing, it's totally perfect. It's a perfect, it's like the cherry on top. You did all this work to help move this for yourself and the collective, and now it's time to really like, ooh, just do that full on release,